Hey everybody, welcome back once again to the Dancing SOBR podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time to check us out. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We need to grow our subscribers, and hit the like button if you like this episode. I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Movita Juice Bar, still with us. Go to movitajuicebar.com to find a location, or go to one of your food apps and order through there. Shout out to our studio here, Outer Circle Media. If you want to do a podcast yourself, hit them up at outercirclemedia.com. And today's guest is crosshatch and relief print master, Abel Alejandre. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dancing SOBR podcast. Today in the studio, we have illustrator, printmaker, graphic designer, videographer, cinematographer, and fashionista, Abel Alejandre. Welcome to the studio, bro.
Thank you, brother.
How are you doing?
I am doing well.
Good.
Just fought through traffic to get to the west side.
Coming from Long Beach.
Coming from Long Beach.
How long does it take to get here?
It wasn't that bad. I mean, because it wasn't that late.
Yeah.
I think it took me about 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
But I anticipated longer, so I always planned for the worst.
Well, let's start there. Let's start with Long Beach. Let's talk about a little bit about how you grew up in the streets of the LBC.
Well, I'm originally from what I consider Wilmington, my hometown, Wilmas, and
I didn't know that.
And that's where I grew up. And then I moved to Long Beach with my family in 1980, and we were one of the few Mexican American families on the block.
Wow.
It was mostly predominantly African American, and we stood out like a sore thumb.
Yeah. 80s.
Yeah.
Wow. And so how was going to school there, or were you into hip hop? I gotta ask because it was the 80s.
I was definitely into hip hop, break dancing, all that graffiti art. I started out as a graffiti artist, and I also had straight A's. So whenever I did get in trouble, I would just point back to my spotless record. I'd say, well, do you really think that I would jeopardize my academic career for a tag? No, I suppose not, Mr. Alejandre. Exactly. But I was desmadroso.
So you got away with it just because you had good grades?
Because I had good grades, I got away with it.
What high school did you go to?
I went to Long Beach Polytechnic.
Okay.
But I was supposed to go to Banning.
You guys had,
but
those are like the big football teams too, right?
Yeah. It's a big football guys.
Long Beach Poly and Banning too, yeah. Big football high school teams, yeah.
Yeah, no, we definitely represented.
Did you play?
I did not, but I just mean my school.
Yeah. Is that where you started getting into drawing, or were you always like?
Well, I was into drawing because my uncle Guillermo, he's a fashion designer. Well, and he was more active, when I was younger, and so in order to impress him, because he drew all the time, I started drawing. I started imitating his drawings, and I mean that's how I started getting into drawing. But
what kind of drawings was it about?
Well,
what were you drawing, pretty much?
Well, in the beginning, he drew like animals and like stencils and stuff. So I did that, and after I exhausted everything that he did, I just started going through the phone book, the yellow pages, and they had all those illustrations. So I would just leaf through the illustrations and just redraw everything.
This is before the internet.
Yeah, this is before the internet. This is instead of doing an image Google search, I would just take the yellow pages, flip through them, and if there was an illustration of a car,
try to duplicate
a plumber, a van, like a tractor, a screwdriver, whatever illustration existed in the yellow pages, I would just redraw those illustrations over and over again. Wow. And I mean that's all. That's how I got my start.
With a number 2 pencil. Or
number
a Bic.
2 or a pen, whatever I could find.
Yeah.
And
did you ever use those 4-color pens?
Oh, if I got lucky, if it fell off one of the rich kids' backpacks, right?
Yeah, there's a couple of people that still use those. I like them a lot. So as you developed your drawing skills, how did you know, or when did you know, like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do?
Well, I always drew, but I didn't really know that that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I got into a lot of trouble, growing up, and eventually, my
what does
neighborhood.
trouble mean for Abel Alejandre? Like, what kind of trouble?
Well, all kinds of trouble. In the beginning, I had trouble adjusting to my neighborhood, but then everybody got used to me, and once my neighborhood got used to me, then my best friends were African American, my girlfriends were African American, and so when I would step out of my neighborhood, then I would have trouble with other other Hispanics, who just saw me like a race traitor or something. And I didn't understand. I'm just trying to survive, man.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand why anyone had to pick sides. I just knew that these were my friends, and that's who I stuck with.
Wow.
So I ended up getting into a lot of physical altercations, and eventually
You were a brawler.
I was a brawler, and reluctthis, I should say. But eventually, I started to like it, and like it a lot. And there was this old lady. Her name was Mary. She was retired. She used to, I think, work for the post office or something. And she saw me wearing one of my uncle's county jail T-shirts.
How did you get a county jail T-shirt?
Well, he was in the drunk tank.
He brought it out.
They arrested him.
They released him on it?
Well, they arrested him naked, and so they. Well, they arrested him naked, but when they released him, he had a L.A. County jail
funny.
T-shirt, and so I thought it'd be funny if I just went around the neighborhood wearing it. And so this old lady started to cry, and she felt really bad for me, and she gave me a stern lecture, which is like, oh man, this metiche, she just, it's none of her business. She just needs to let it go. But she felt really bad for me, and so she went to the art store in Long Beach. There was an art store called Lion's Art Supply. It was huge. And she bought me what was then like $300 worth of art supplies.
Wow.
I mean, we're talking about like 1982, 83.
Wow.
I mean,
that's a lot.
So, I mean, $300 is still a lot right now.
That's what rent used to be back then.
Yeah, right?
Much, yeah.
And she did that, and it took me about a year and a half to exhaust those supplies. But it kept me off the street.
Wow.
And so, she just saw that I liked to draw, and, and she gave me all her art books, her art box, which I still have,
Wow.
And it really, it reset me.
Yeah.
It gave me a different goal. I mean, I was still running the streets, but, when I got home.
That became your secret life from your homies,
yeah,
right?
It did. It became my little secret life, and I would just go home, do my little paintings, do my little drawings, and do my homework. So, that.
This is in high school still.
Junior high.
Junior high.
Yeah, and then once, towards the end of junior high, I got a job painting murals for the 1984 Olympics, and I lied about my age back when they didn't do background checks, right, to verify that you were really a certain age. Yeah. And so they gave me the job, and I worked painting murals, and I thought that was.
Do you remember the specific murals that you worked on?
Yeah, they were like abstracts, So back then I was just doing.
But it wasn't any of the ones on the 101 freeway or anything
no,
like that?
These were like in downtown Long Beach.
Oh, okay.
And so all those buildings have been taken down, and this was before they built the Long Beach Mall, which also it's been torn down since then.
Since then, wow.
But there was an old Sears building. I did some murals there, and I had this this fantasy that I didn't have to document anything because someone was going to come and actually document all this, because I didn't understand how this happens, right? Yeah. And so I just didn't do any of that.
Well, what if we do a background check? Will we find it?
I've done it, dude. I've done it.
Okay.
And and actually, I was in a documentary. PBS came out and did a documentary about young muralists, and they filmed me and they interviewed me, and it's like
that's badass.
And I was a kid, and I never got to see the actual film, except that whenever it was on TV, everybody would run outside and say, "I just saw you on TV," and I'm like,
You're like, I missed it again.
and like I missed it again, and so every other year it would play on TV, and all I know is that the filmmaker, his name was Bob Sky.
Wow.
And I still have like his business card.
You can probably find it somewhere.
I even contacted Bob Skies in the industry. It's like, dude, I'm desperate. I would love to be able to find that footage.
Yeah.
And you know, I contacted PBS. I got friends there, you know, like, and I couldn't track it down. But
Wow.
I know that it exists because everybody would like always says, "Oh my God, you were just a kid." And it's like, I think that would be like the most awesome thing. Like that would really make my day if I would find it.
So you started painting murals in junior high.
Well, at the end of junior high, right before
already
high
going
school.
into high school. And did that show you that, like, well, this can be a career, or how did?
Oh, absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
for me, from the beginning, I never felt like that I couldn't make money as an artist. Like, it's like I started selling my drawings in elementary school. So like it was never unrealistic.
So it started way early then.
Yeah. So whenever people would say, "Well, you're never gonna make money," and it's like I was already hustling. But you know, like my dad, I'm sure there was a lesson that he had in mind. Whenever I had money that he didn't give me, he would want me to give it to him. And he would always guilt me into saying, "We got to send this to your grandparents back in Mexico." And so I'm like, "Oh, okay." But, you know, so I stopped telling my parents whenever I made money. But I was always hustling. Like I'd get up early in the morning. I'd go and look for recyclables that I would take, and so I could put some money in my pocket.
Wow.
You know, I would see how I could hustle people into, you know, giving me money. You know, like I go find like seashells to start selling to all the elderly for their fish tanks. I mean, like,
wow.
I was always hustling, and then I would get that money, you know, buy art supplies and then do drawings, you know, for kids' homework. You know, like people had homework and so they had to do an illustration, so I would do the illustration for them. Wow. And you know, and I did that through high school and into college. You know, like so.
Wow.
So I was always like, you know, trying to figure a way of getting paid.
Monetize that.
Yeah. I started airbrushing on people's Nissans and mopeds. You know, like I was always hustling.
How old were you when you started working for the graphic design company, or what was the?
Well, I got into publishing.
Yeah.
Yeah. My uncle, the fashion designer, he started giving me little jobs to like illustrate, you know, like some like clothes. Like, oh, can you make a drawing of these pants or this dress? So I would just do these drawings, and so we sent those to Japan. They loved them, but you know, it was whatever I did, it was going to be under his label. So like I never got credit. I got paid, and so like
it was work for hire.
Yeah, so like, and I was fine with that. Like I didn't realize the value of having, you know, credit for something. It wasn't until I was an adult that I realized what a lost opportunity it was, all the work that I had put in for other people and not getting any credit back. So I don't make that mistake anymore, but you know, I did when I was younger.
Yeah. So you were young and you were doing these drawings for the publishing company, and
I was doing it for my uncle,
Yeah.
and then like other people would hire me, and eventually I landed a job with working for the Press Telegram, and that was like my first like 9 to 5 in publishing, and then since then like I've managed like 40 publications, and you know I work for 2 daily newspapers, and so you know like it gave me an opportunity to like, you know, work under deadline and you know, and get organized, and it gave me the opportunity to actually have money in my pocket, pay my bills, and then I could do the work that I wanted to do and not worry if my artwork sold, you know, at the gallery or not.
Yeah.
And for me, it was liberating. But you know, when I would come across other artists, when they found out that I had a 9 to 5 job, they're like, "Oh, so you're not a real artist," which always stung, man. It stung. Like, oh, it's just like it was the worst.
That's hilarious,
isn't it? I was like, yeah, motherfucker. Okay, I'm sorry, can we curse?
Because yeah.
I was like, yeah, motherfucker. But I have health insurance.
Yeah.
Like I got dental.
And that's important too. So how did you start to develop yourself? I mean, these were all like commercial jobs or like jobs for other people. How did you start to develop your own art career or make your name? I want to slowly get into like your process and your trajectory as you.
Well, I kept going, doing a lot of like group shows, and and I really gained.
Did you study?
I went to Long Beach City College, and I had gone into like Long Beach State, but my old man didn't want to pay for it, so I had to pay for it myself. So what I could afford was, while I was living under his roof, was Long Beach City College, and so that I could afford out of my pocket. So that's what I did, and eventually I started a family, and I was getting paid, and like I was hiring people with with bachelor's and master's degrees, and so I didn't see the value of going and getting into debt so I could go work for a guy that only has an associate's degree.
So you started doing group shows and stuff in Long Beach or around LA?
Anywhere that they would have me. So like like in
how did you make your way to East LA and self-help graphics and all that?
I guess like the show that introduced me to the community was there was a big show, the group show by Jane Castillo and Joseph Beckles. They had done these two shows where Joseph Beckles took African American artists and did a show where they took a large canvas, and it was just contiguous, right? So each artist had like 5 feet by 5 feet, and they did their artwork. And then Jane Castillo had the Latino artists, and each artist had like their work next to each other. And so then I got to meet like all the Chicanos that like I still know today. Like it was just such a gift to have been part of that show, because then I got to meet the community, and like that's when I finally felt like I met my I found my tribe. And before that, Joseph he passed away from cancer, and he was like a really dear friend and mentor to me. And I just found like the artists who chose art. Not the artists that were working in obscurity, and I would come across them. I would come across people who say, oh yeah, I went to art school and I had gallery representation, but once my work stopped selling, I got this job at FedEx or whatever, and they just gave up. And having met artists that chose to be artists full time, like changed my life, because like then it's like, oh, like people really do choose this life, and they're happy with their decision. And I just felt like I had chosen this life, but I was in solitary, like there was nobody to talk to about it, and all the challenges. But once I met other artists who were going through the same struggle to make it as artists, then I at least I felt like I wasn't alone.
Yeah, I mean, that's really important too, to find that community, right? To find, if you don't know like mentors and you don't have the artists around you to help you, to find something like that and grow in that group. Wow, it must have been like super fucking cool.
Yeah, it was the best. It was the best. And I met Reyes Rodriguez. I met from Tropico. Victoria Delgadillo. Gosh, who didn't I meet?
You're rolling with the cool people.
Yeah, it was all the cool kids, man. Shit. I don't know how many Esparsas participated, but I know I'm sure there was some Esparsas in the mix. There were obviously Jane Castillo and. Gosh, now I'm blanking out. Irena Cervantes.
But it's interesting to know like all these like subcircles and subcircles and subcircles of artists, that continue to like make stuff, and like not everybody's always like in the highlight or in the, but there's all these other circles of people that just are helping each other grow.
Right.
I was gonna ask, how did that, like meeting all these people and seeing all these other artists, how did that help you grow or expand, what you were doing? Like, were you just working with pencils back then, or I mean, because you have a wide variety of.
I had, like I had a studio in downtown Long Beach, and I had a variety of directions that I was going, and but I was really timid, and like I didn't. There was a ghost of what I would become, like there, but I was just afraid. I was afraid to access it, and having that exposure to those people, and just seeing that, just people had like one voice, and they held on to it with gusto, and it's like, I'm like, oh, you can do that, like you can just like say, no, yeah, this is the shit I do.
I am the pencil guy. I am the crosshatch guy.
Like I'm the painter, or I just paint nopales, or I just, I paint lowriders, or I paint screaming people, or like whatever it was that each person did. Like I was like, oh, it's okay to just do that one thing. Like, and like the focus of my work is masculinity, and and just what does it mean to be a man? Like, and what does it mean for you to be a man, for me to be a man, and just showing these different slivers, and these vignettes of manhood, and that's basically what I was interested in, on account that I grew up with a lot of men, and there was a lot of aggression, and as I told you in the past, I got into a lot of street fights. I was a brawler, and so later on, as I matured, I'm trying to unpack all that. What did all that aggression and all that anger mean? And so so I'm starting to unpack it in my work. Like years later, and there's just a lot there. And
what did it mean, and where did it come from, and how does it manifest? And those are probably questions that you had. And do you think you have any answers?
No. Well, I mean, I guess as far as answers go, for myself, I think that being honest with oneself, and just like saying, what, we're afraid to be vulnerable as men, and I certainly was, like afraid to say, what, that shit hurt my feelings when you said that, and I'm just gonna tell you that instead of punching you in the face, which was like my go-to. Like, like I would just, I was more, I felt more comfortable punching someone in the face than to say hello. Wow. Like nothing scared me more than to say hello to another man.
Wow.
Like it was easier to just reset the relationship where I punch you, and then I know exactly how you're going to react, and as opposed to I say hello and you might ignore me, or like, what I'm saying? It just, that fear, in
so you were super like I guess like inside yourself, or
well,
was it the insecurities that scared you, or
the thing is that like growing up, I came from Mexico in 1975. I arrived in this country, and I always got picked on because I was always small for my age. And I got into so many fights that that's the only way that that
it became your language.
That I engage with especially with other men. And when my old man would come home, he really didn't want to be married. It's like, my words not offend him. He recently passed, but he really didn't want to be married. And I think that like seeing his children just reminded him of that. And so I would take a beating from him after I took like 2 or 3 beatings at school. On the way to school, at school, on the way back. And so all that aggression, it forced me to become, this person that, like I probably wouldn't have been had I've, been, raised under different circumstances. And so I was really comfortable with, being physical with anyone. And the greater the odds, like if there was 20 guys running towards me,
you're down.
I was down. I would run towards them, because like I was a masochist. Like it's like I didn't run away from pain. I ran towards it.
Yeah.
But but if you want to talk about my feelings, chale. So but now like there's a certain age where you find that you don't heal as fast, and so then I have to be more diplomatic and say, okay, what's another way of handling this? What's another way of resolving any conflicts?
So there's like periods in your work where I've seen different I would say different personalities, or not personality, but different
facets,
emotions maybe. And then there's some that are pretty dark. Like, did a lot of that like anger and aggression come out in those dark paintings, or do you work that way?
I want to say that I don't have those feelings, but I know that they must be in there because like nobody else did that artwork. I did it. Like so it's coming from me. So like I can't walk away from it.
And your work is really honest. Like when I look at your work, I don't feel like it's trying to like lie to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's
well, I hate pretension.
Yeah, it's very honest, and it's simple in. It's not. Yeah, it's just honest is the best word I could come up with, and so, yeah, it's coming from you somehow.
Yeah, it's like I like to create this like surreal moments, in my work, and but I access some autobiographical like events in my life, but then but I don't leave it there. I want to expand it. I want to make it relatable, more to the human condition, than to myself. Then I don't want to anchor it just to myself.
Got it.
Like I find that very boring.
Yeah.
But for some people that's what they see.
Yeah.
They only see and they say, "Oh, you must be very troubled."
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's not neither here nor there. But like
the world is troubled.
The work is not.
It's not
just about me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's about me in the sense that I created it, but.
No, I get it. You're approaching the theme of that.
Yeah, it's like
in the world and for mankind, I guess, in a way, right?
Well, like I guess. I mean, it's more intuitive, I think. Like when I'm creating it, but like sometimes I do have I think about it a lot before I create the work, and then I just go into it, and sometimes I just start. And then I go back. I'm like, man, what the fuck was that about? It's like that looks gnarly. Like some what was what was in my mind? What was on my mind? What was in my heart at that moment? But it's all part of it. Like I don't distance myself from it. I did it.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I mean, that's part of the process to like let all that flow through you. Do you believe in that? Like that it just. Because even me, who like I don't consider myself, an amazing drawer or nothing, but sometimes when I draw, it's just doing it by itself. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's something else moving your hand. And do you believe in that? Like
sometimes I say, I like to say that I don't.
Yeah.
But sometimes I really do. Yeah. Like it's kind of like like, do I believe in God? Generally, I don't. But like when I'm in a pinch, like
better see nothing.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? So it's like that. Like I want to say that, yeah. It's all like intellectual.
Yeah.
But I do believe sometimes that like I have to channel this through, and I don't know where it's coming from. Yeah. I don't think that it's just from me. I mean, it's in the ether. I don't know, but just because I don't know doesn't mean that that I'm gonna say it came from me.
Yeah. And the truth is that we don't really fucking know.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say yes or no sometimes in that. But yeah, I mean, I love that. Like, in different mediums, whatever you're doing, sometimes like it's just something else that's fucking flowing through you, and that's the good shit.
Right.
For in the process, it doesn't always give you the best outcome, right? But it does feel good to like let these things out, whatever it is going through you.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I go in the studio and I'm like, I just need to release whatever is bothering me. Like, I, sometimes I feel like like there's these demons that live within all of us, and you got to give them voice, and so that they stop haunting you, you know, like, and sometimes just like I just got to release, I got to release it, and you know, once I put it on paper or canvas, and it's out of me, I don't think about it, like I just feel like there's a weight, you know, there was this giant woodblock I did, with this calavera, you know, in a field of guns, and you know, it was about the drug trade in Mexico, you know, and but there was just this imagery that I had that I was holding on to. It was just really bothering me. I just needed to get rid of it. And after I did the work, it just like I don't even think about it. You know, like you know.
It's like it was here, and then you put it here.
Yeah.
And then you put it in the flat file.
It's like, okay, now it's your people's problem. Like I throw it out in the world.
Wow.
You know, like, and I had done that piece for the National Museum of Mexican Art in Chicago, and they had called me to do that piece, and when I did it, like I was like, oh, now it's their problem, not mine. You know, like I was like, you know, but when I saw it, like I was like, oh man, some people might think like that, like I have like all these dark thoughts, and it's like, but I'm free of it now.
Yeah, that's magical too. I mean, it is magical in a way, that just to like be able to put that, and the magic part is that you're able to like really put it on paper in detail. Not just like in detail of the shape of stuff, but like shadows and like life and like everything. That feeling that you had goes on that paper.
You want to hear something funny? That before, like, all my work was really loose, and it wasn't as tightly rendered as it is now. And for the longest time, I just thought that I had to do the work as fast as possible. And it was only when I slowed down that like my work became like accurate. Yeah. And like it's like, oh, that is my voice. Like once I saw it, as soon as I saw it, I knew like, oh, this is where I want to be. This is like this. It feels more authentic to who I am. You know, like I'm more methodical, and so for the longest time I was fighting being this, technical, calculating artist, where like every line is thought of. Like a tattoo, it's meant to impregnate the paper, the material, and I'm not gonna take it back. So I don't erase. I just lay down the line.
Jesus Christ! I mean, it's insane what you do, because I've seen your videos and I've seen it in person, but I just had to stop you for a second, because the fact that when you just said right now that you slowed down to pay attention to the details, and I mean, one of my questions was for you was, how in the fuck do you slow down so much to put about 10,000 scratches on a piece of paper? Literally, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like 10,000 scratches on a piece of paper, and they're just like these little fine fucking lines over and over and over.
It's therapeutic, man. Like just
the patience.
It's like sometimes I'm thinking, I'm just gonna go in, I'm just gonna draw for like 20 minutes. Yeah. And next thing I know, 8 hours passed. Because I just got a couple more lines here, and I just go.
You just can't stop.
Yeah, and I go like into a trance, I guess, and like I just forget time. And next thing I know, it's like my stomach hurts. I'm like, oh, why is my stomach hurting? I mean, I haven't eaten. And I'm like, I'm always paranoid, especially now, right? Like that I'm older, but I'm always paranoid. It's like, oh, my stomach hurts. It's like, man, I need to make a doctor appointment. And not to make light of anybody else's health concerns, but like I always say, oh my God, it's probably cancer. It's like, no, fucker, you haven't ate in 12 hours. You need to eat. But right away, I just panic. Yeah. And so I do that, and like I said, it's therapeutic.
It must be good to have like the studio in your home the way that you have it, to be able to just like go back there and then go to the front and get a donut or whatever.
Yeah.
Go back.
You know me. I just get those crispy, crispy donuts.
Yeah. So, in your studio, I've seen you have like who knows how many pencils and stuff, but you also have a couple of presses and printing presses, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm very fortunate that I acquired 3 printing presses, like for different sizes, and it really like it just made my life so much easier because I used to like my 4 foot by 8 foot wood blocks. I would print by hand, and but now I have like a giant press that I could just I could create the plate and then just run it through the press. It's like it's such a relief, to do that. And I built another press, a hydraulic press, and that was fun to build. Oh, yeah. And I always love using that because then I feel like this fucker's mine. Like I made it, I dominate it. And it was like, as opposed to the other ones, someone else manufactured them, and I always feel like I have to be more gentle with it. But the one I built, it's like, if it breaks, it breaks.
You can make another one.
I can make another one.
What is I don't know if there's a preference, but how do you feel like changing from like doing 1,000 scratches with a pencil to like 1,000 notches on linoleum?
Well, for me, it's all like just creating like imagery. It's like I see.
You don't differentiate.
I don't, because for me, I see it more like theater, and like they're just different stages. Yeah. So I'm gonna use this stage now, and so I'm gonna create this work, and I'll bring these elements, these characters, and they're gonna play their role on the stage. Okay, like I'll open the curtain, and they're gonna do what they're gonna do, and they're gonna perform. And so, like for me, if it's film, if it's on the printing press, or if it's with pencil and paper, like they're just different stages, and so I'm just introducing like different scenarios, different narratives, onto the stage.
So then, is there like your favorite process in everything that you do? Do you have a favorite? Like, what is the part that you like the most?
I don't know that I have a favorite so much. The way I like to think about it is that there are different voices. And so let's say like when I do like my printmaking, like that I consider that like my shouting voice. Like it's like I gotta be very, very firm. Like my printing, my prints are not delicate. Yeah. They're more aggressive. Whereas my pencils drawings, they're probably the most intimate, and so like those are I price higher. Like I there's a preciousness because of the intimacy that goes into that work, and with other things, let's say like the film aspect of it, I feel like, okay, this is more like a public service announcement. Like it's just. But like it just gets more personal, like when I get to the drawings.
Okay, wow. So when you're sitting there in front of your paper and you're taking your time to do all those drawings, you're like, another $1, another $1. I love you. Another $1.
No, I wish. I was like I did a drawing of my old man, and I killed probably like 600 pencils.
Wow.
And
like literally 600 pencils.
Easily.
Wow.
And the only reason that is because I have a bad habit of only working with a sharp point. Like as soon as the pencil gets dull, I sharpen it again. And so like I'll sharpen like 50 pencils at a time. And so each pencil, let's say, may yield like 6 or 7 marks, and then it's too dull for me. So then I put it in the can, and I grab a fresh pencil. So it's the lines. So
you'll sharpen 50 at a time.
Right.
Keep them there, and then just start.
Yeah. And so then all the line work is nice and crisp. And as soon as I see like there's a little bit of dust, like pencil dust, I just blow the dust away.
Next pencil.
And then I grab another pencil. It's like, okay, you're done. And so that's why I go through the pencils so fast. So, but I switched to mechanical pencils because they're more efficient that way. Because like
it stays sharp.
It stays sharp longer. Yeah. And what I found that like I was losing too much time, sharpening the pencils. Just like okay, this is a task that either I need to get someone else to do, or I need to find a better way of doing it.
What thickness of lead do you use in the mechanical pencil?
I use the Stettler pencils, mechanical pencils, and I think it's like the 2 millimeter ones, and then I have all the leads. Like it just. I buy the cartridge of leads.
But you still have to sharpen those, right?
Yeah, I still have to sharpen them.
But it's not like the pencils.
But they stay sharper longer.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought you meant the little.
Yeah, I have those too. I mean, like those I'll take with me, like for my sketchbook.
For sketching,
like if I'm gonna go somewhere, like if I'm going to New York or San Francisco, and I'm gonna be like on a train or something, then I take those because then like I don't have to worry about the sharpening.
Yeah. Your drawings that you did that ended up on the metro station on the Palms station.
It's the Westwood Rancho Park.
Westwood Rancho Park station. That one, Palms is before, and then it's Westwood Rancho Park. That one, it started as pencil, and then you did. Yeah, so
those are all like
ink
pencil drawings, and then like there's certain elements within the drawing that I use ink. So like to just let's say like a woman may be holding a purse or a briefcase, and so that'll be like solid ink, and then but the rest is like pencil mark. And
is that your only metro?
That's the only metro station. Yeah. But like if another opportunity comes my way, I'll jump on it.
We're talking to you.
I was like, like. When you come across some people and they say they want to commission some work and then it never happens, like every artist is used to that, but like Metro came through for me, so so I like that. I was like it was a real game changer.
And there hasn't been a lot of offers like that, of course, because they're not making stations every day, but recently there's a whole new batch of Metro stations that came out. I'm excited to see those.
Yeah, and a couple artists we know got them, so that's always nice when you see your friends.
Yeah, of course.
Get these awards. I always celebrate those moments.
Yeah. Well, mine, I had some, and they just came down because it was a temporary exhibit. So Metro, hit me up. God damn it! I would love to do something else with Metro. They're really nice to me. So. I want to talk a little bit about your Chicano Chronicles. You've been interviewing people and doing these documentaries, I guess.
Yeah, how do I put this delicately? I had gone on YouTube and I had searched for Chicano art, and the first thing that came up was Japanese kids in Japan.
Yeah.
And
the lowriders and
with the lowriders, and to me personally, like I know people talk a lot about appropriation, but it's a beautiful thing to see how far our voice has reached.
Yeah.
However,
you want to see some Chicano art.
In that narrative, there is no room for me, or for you, that, right? As Chicanos. And then the second thing that came up was Chicha's collection. Now, I have a lot of friends in that collection, but again, I'm not in that collection, so there's no room for me in that narrative. So it's like how do I become part of the conversation, because I don't feel like I am. And so and what I mean by that is, how do people like me, not necessarily me, but people like me who are not hip, who are not,
you're pretty hip, bro.
I don't know about that, but there are a lot of people who are not in that conversation. Who are, when you talk about Chicano art, like, are people talking about it? They should, And there's a lot of people. There's a lot of other people. I don't think that the canon is closed when it comes to Chicano art and Chicano culture. But sometimes I find that the way people speak about Chicano culture, they do talk about, who is Chicano and who deserves to be, given a spotlight. But they talk about it in terms as if, the canon was already closed, and it's not. And I mean, that's my point, right? So, I started this documentation project to document, the voices of the past, the trailblazers of Chicanismo, the next generation, like you and I, and then the younger generation that's coming up that sometimes may not even identify as Chicano. Maybe they just identify as Latinx or not. And so I just want to have that conversation on film.
No, and it's great and it's beautiful to. I mean, similar to what I'm doing here is like to put people that we fucking admire and like respect and have followed for years, in the spotlight and give them time to shine, and for all those kids Googling, that are looking for that, make sure you put your tags in your videos that say, Chicano art and all that, so that it does come up when people Google it. So,
you and I understand that, there's room for all of us.
Yeah, I don't think the canon should ever be closed. I mean, that's
and sometimes I think that someone starts getting a popular, is they start getting a little press and some attention, and then they don't want anybody else to crowd in the room, right? And it's like, whereas you and I are the opposite of that. The more the merrier. Like I really think that nobody in American and white culture says we have enough white people, right?
That's true.
Do they? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they do, but but we do in the Latino culture. Like it's like it seems like there is not enough room for all of us, but there is, and
there definitely.
And so that's why I want to do this project, and that's why I've been focusing, on this sliver of our culture.
And where can people find these videos? Because
are
they on YouTube?
It's a YouTube channel, and there's a website called Chicano Chronicles, Chicano with an X. So ChicanoChronicles.com, and and then there's the YouTube channel, Chicano Chronicles, and and so basically what I'm doing is
maybe that's why I couldn't find it. I didn't spell it with an X.
But that's good info for me to know. So I can put it out there with a CH, right? Yeah. But the thing is that I want to do these I'm doing these videos like right now. I've released 6, and I have 5 other interviews that I haven't released yet because I'm still editing them, and each one is like introducing a character, and so I just go into like that person's like story. This is another Chicano, and this is their story. And it gets a little personal because they talk about their family life, how they grew up, and all that. But it's just like anywhere from 7 to 12 minutes, and just an introduction of them. But I'm doing a feature film that I don't know how I'm gonna finance it yet, but right now I'm paying for everything, and I'm in a fortunate place where I can do this for this project. So I'm doing it, and I'm not waiting for permission. I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I want to just introduce the characters now. So for the film, when you see them, oh, that's Jose Lozano. Or that's Armando Duron. That's Ofelia Esparza. Their story. And so that's what I want to basically not have to explain who everybody is and just have them speak on Chicanismo.
Yeah, that's badass. Are you close to? Are you in the middle of production, or is this something for the future still, or?
Well, I'm basically.
Is it the documentary, the feature?
Yes.
As well?
So right now I'm doing like these shorts, right? So they're like I said, like anywhere from 7 to 12 minutes. I think I did one that was 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And so these are just like what I'm releasing now.
Yeah.
So to whet people's appetites for it. And I have a list of like 200 people I want to hit.
Damn.
But realistically, maybe I may do only 40.
Yeah.
And providing that, you know, after picking up some momentum, I can get, you know, recruit some help and have you know, people help me. 'Cause you know how it is with filming. It's like in the beginning, like if you're just doing like one film, it's fine, or one little short. But if it's going to be a regular thing, then you're going to need some help. I mean, it gets, you know, like physically exhausting.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had a little health scare a couple years ago. And so like now, like I just, you know, there's only so much that I can physically do. And I'm cognizant of it. And, you know, I listen to my body. And so, you know, like, no, that's all I can do. If I can only release one episode a month, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, nobody's paying me to do this. So like, you know, so I'm going to do it.
Nobody's going to yell at you.
Yeah, nobody's going to, I'm not going to get fired. But, you know, so I'm releasing them as I'm able to. But eventually, you know, like, I think once I have like 40 interviews, I'm definitely going to, you know, like,
piece something together.
Start piecing together something I can, you know, shop around to see if, you know, I can get, you know, possibly, you know, one of the streaming services interested.
There's so many. Somebody's got to.
But, you know, but who knows? Who knows if the current infrastructure that we all rely on for entertainment, if it's going to be available, you know, in a couple of years. Yeah. But anyways,
in the end, there's always YouTube.
I'm still going to do the work.
Yeah.
And I don't need that. Yeah. But I will definitely exploit any platform that that allows it. And so I mean, and
that's all you can do.
Yeah. It's like in the spirit of of Chicanismo, like I will do it, and I won't ask for permission. Yeah. You know, it's self-determination.
I think it's more important to do the work, just get the work done, than all the other stuff, and hopefully you can put it somewhere where people will see it for sure. Right now, speaking of people seeing your work, are you in any exhibits?
I have some prints that I made with Matt Gleason, and I did this print of the month project where we invited 11 artists to participate, and so I printed 11 artists, including myself. So there was like 12 prints. And then we sold the edition, and that edition is
as a set.
As a set,
awesome.
For like I think it's like super cheap, like $600 for the set, and so you get like 12 artists. And so, anyways, Lancaster Museum bought it, and they're showing it right now as part of their
the
their
whole
permanent
collection.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about that, and I mean we nearly sold out the edition. We did an edition of 40, and so it was like, as far as I'm concerned, it was very successful. And so I'm really happy with it. I was really happy to print those artists. I don't think that any of them are printmakers. So I just took their work, and
you created the print,
and so I created the print, and so they're relief prints. So they look pretty cool, as I said. I'm very proud of them.
And how long does that show run?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I probably should have committed it to memory. You're not the first person to ask me.
People can find it on the Lancaster Museum of History.
Yeah.
Right. I know that you work out of your home, but sometimes I see that you're like doing prints around the United States. Like, how does that happen? And do you are they residencies, or do museums just call you and be like, hey, yo, come teach our people how to do this shit?
Well, I'll go wherever I'm invited. And so, like I did, I did like a workshop in New York with some Puerto Rican printmakers who were very gracious hosts, and it was a lot of fun. And I really I just love doing that.
But how do these things come about to you? Do people just find you, or?
I guess because like like I just do the work and I post about it, and
they'll find you.
People reach out, and we have like they have we have people in common. Like the thing with artists is like like especially if you're in the art world, like you find that everybody knows each other, and so like don't burn bridges. It's like, exactly. And so I just respond. Sometimes people send inquiries, and like they're not real. But I try to read every email and be as courteous and professional as possible, and just and if it's something that looks like it's a fit for me, because not everything's gonna be a fit for you, right? And sometimes people have like ideas and they see connections, and I've said no plenty of times, and sometimes people don't take it well, and sometimes people like say, oh, I totally get it, and I just respond and I engage with them, and we work something out.
Start the conversation is important.
Yeah. It's important. I mean, like if I had any advice to give to any young artists, it's like, don't close any doors. Don't like keep the door open. Keep it cracked. Even if you can't do it right now, just keep that relationship going, because there may be a time maybe where you can't capitalize on it, where it's not something you can get from them. Maybe you can give them something, and that is far more rewarding in the end when you can offer someone else something instead of taking. Because if you're just known as a taker, like after a while, there's diminishing returns. Like nobody will call.
I better start calling people back. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm pretty good at that too. I mean, I try to, a lot of times I'm like, fuck, I don't want to do certain things. And then they'll call me and I'm like, yeah, because like I do want to do it. There's like the actual doing it is a lot of fun. Sometimes it's just like worrying about it and all this stuff that gets like mixed up in your head. But then the actual like doing it is fun. But one at a time, just take it like, right?
Yeah. It's like sometimes I think that artists get overwhelmed, especially if it's something new, right? It's like, I know I did when I was younger. Oh my God. Like, it's like, there were so many opportunities that I had that like, they just scared me. Like they were just like huge commitments. And I'm like, well, I've never done that before.
I get overwhelmed by teaching. Like, I don't know if I'm a good teacher, but when I do it, it's a lot of fun and it turns out great. But I always worry.
Agree more.
I always worry before the day. I worry so much that I'm not going to do like justice to the project.
Right.
But then,
yeah, I couldn't.
It turns out fucking great. And you're like,
I couldn't agree more. I know when I did a residency at Fullerton College, and they had a couple hundred students come through, and I was really stressing out about it. And I think had I known that there was going to be that many students, I might have talked myself out of doing it. I totally would have talked myself out of doing it. But not knowing was a blessing, because I had a lot of fun. But mentally and physically, I was exhausted when I got back to the hotel. And I just couldn't believe like how much I gave. Yeah. And how much it actually took like out of me. Like, I mean, I just collapsed on the bed. Like, and like, I thought like, oh, when I get back to the hotel, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna call so-and-so. Nada. There was nothing left in the tank. But I had a lot of fun, with all the students and talking to them and sharing my work, and and it was far more rewarding than I expected. Yeah. And it was just a lot of fun, but it was really demanding.
Yeah. Well, on that positive note, I have to tell you that we are running out of time. And is there a website that people can find you?
Abel Alejandre.
AbelAlejandre.com. Right?
Yeah. And I'm
Instagram.
It's probably where I'm...
The same?
It's the same, but it's probably where I'm most active. But, I haven't been active lately, but, it's where I'm probably the most active.
All right. So Instagram, Abel Alejandre, and Chicano Chronicles on YouTube. Chicano with an X.
Chicano with an X.
An X in the beginning, not at the end.
Right.
Yeah. Not Chicanex.
Not Chicanex.
But Chicano with an X in the beginning. And there's a question that we ask everybody at the end of this podcast. And I want to ask you to try to answer in one sentence. It's a vague question, but all of the things that you do and all of the magic that you do and how you have gathered all of your skills and come forward and work as hard as you do to get to where you're at. If a being from another planet came and asked you, Abel Alejandre, how do you do it? How would you answer in one sentence?
God damn you.
How do you do it?
How do you do it? Oh man, you got me. You got me there. I know no other way.
I know no other way. That's great. Abel, thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you,
I
brother.
wish we had 2 hours to talk, but there's always another time in the future, I'm sure.
All right. Thank you, brother.
See you guys next.